So, before I even define a variable, I'm going to kind of write out in my mind what is happening here. Alright? So in this particular problem, here's what we know. First of all, it talks about the word sum. What does sum mean? This is an addition problem. So if we were to take Sam's age, and to that we added Sarah's age, we are going to get some total that is an arbitrary number. They gave it to us in this particular problem, but that's what I know. If I take Sarah's age and Sam's age, add the two of them together, I should get some sort of a number. Okay? Again, you don't have to write this out on every single one of these problems, but this is what you need to be thinking about as you process through this. Okay? Now, second thing we do, and this is something I do expect to see done, you need to define a variable. So what are we looking for in this problem? We are looking for Sam's age. So, let's let x equal Sam's age. Again, story problems are going to be level 4 questions. This is part of every level 4. If you are writing a story problem, you need to tell me what the variable that you're using is. And if you did not do this on your problem, ladies and gentlemen, you should be writing this down right now. So there are many of you that I should see writing utensils in your hand, and you are writing. Okay? Now, knowing this, let's take and either plug a number or a variable in for each of these. So do we know Sam's age? No. But what did we call it according to our variable? We called it x. Okay? We're taking x and adding Sarah's age. Do we know Sarah's age? Okay, what are we plugging in for that? 15. And those two should add to give us some total, which in this case the total was 33. There's your equation. All right, Caitlin, what's the operation right now happening to the variable of x? Are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing it? We're adding. Cynthia, how do we undo addition? Subtract. So this is the work that needs to be shown, not just you telling me the answer is 18. You need to physically show that you are subtracting 15 from this side. Now remember, we talked about yesterday, solving an equation is much like balancing a scale. If I'm doing an operation on one side, then I'm also going to do that operation on the other side. So if I'm subtracting 15 from the left, that means that over here on the right, I also need to subtract 15 from that. Now, on the left-hand side, I technically have all three of these terms. But when I combine my like terms, which is what we did in Unit 3, Simplified Expressions, what's 15 minus 15? 0. So what's the only thing left over here? It's x. And on the other side, those two are again like terms. I can take 33 and subtract 15, and I'm left with 18. So again, what do we know? That is Sam's age. Sam should be 18. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. For those of you that just did this, you would not receive credit on that problem. This is how you check your answer, which is what we spent 2 days doing. This is not solving an equation. We are teaching you the process on how to solve a one-step equation, getting rid of addition and subtraction. Okay? Today we're going to focus on getting rid of multiplication and division. And then next week we start throwing in fractions to all of this. Then we get into two-step, multi-step, both sides, and everything else. Okay? This literally is the tip of the iceberg of what we are expecting you to know. Alright. This one here. This is actually very similar to the problem that was at the very, very end of your 2.4 worksheet. And on that worksheet I just said go ahead and tell me, but here we're actually writing an equation again and defining a variable. So, from 2014 to 2015, the number of students in school declined by 178 students. In 2015, there were 1,657 students in the school. Find the number in 2014. First question. What do I know about the number of students in 2014 in 2014 compared to 1,657? Are there going to be more or less students? My answer should be more. Because we started with a number, we subtracted a number, and we got a new number. I want to know what number you had to start with. So for anybody who got a number that was less than 1,657, I'm sorry, that's wrong. It's not reasonable. Okay? So here's what I know. We have our population in 2014, okay, and we are going to subtract a number of students that left. And from that, we now get our population in the year 2015. Okay, and again, this is mentally what I'm thinking about. If you need to physically write it down every time, then that's what you need to do. All right, what's my variable? What do I not know in this particular problem? Quentin. Our population in the year 2014. So let's let that be P. P is going to represent the population in 2014. Okay, so now if I've defined my variable appropriately, we should have a number or a variable to go in for every one of these as we go through. So, do we have a number for the population in 2014? No, but we have a variable. Our variable in my case is P. Now, from that we are subtracting the number of students that left. How many students left after the year 2014? 178. And after we subtract 178 students, we get our new population in the year 2015, which is how many? 1,657. All right, Megan, what operation is happening to my variable of P? Are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing on that side with it? Well, what's physically? We're subtracting. Bryce, how do we undo subtraction? Addition. We call those inverse operations. So, Kane, what do we need to do in our work?
Add 178 to 165.
All right, we need to add 178 to the left. And again, if I'm doing an operation on the left, then I need to make sure that I'm doing that operation on the right. We're going to add 178 over here to the right. So, over here, P minus 178 plus 178, the whole thing just becomes P. Because these two terms cancel each other out, and I have P. And on the other side, I need to add those two together. When I add those two together, one person, please, who's used their calculator, so Cynthia. That is our population in the year 2014. Okay? We're going to continue to hit story problems pretty much all week. Pretty much this unit. All we're going to do is we're going to add to the level of complexity. Okay? Alright, let's take a look at the homework assignment from last night. Again, I'm not able to project the answers here, so I'm going to read through them. You need to follow through these. Mark down anything, and we'll take a look at questions that you may have. Alright. Number one, remember, if you skip number one because you don't like it because it's a vocabulary term, then your homework is not complete. And here's the other thing I'm going to point out. It was a vocab term. How many vocab terms did you have on your notes? You had one, so guess what? It was already there. The fill in the blank, addition and subtraction are inverse operations. You literally needed to put the word inverse. Okay, now, number 3 through 7. You are solving with appropriate work, which again, I'm not seeing a whole lot of. That's concerning. Then you're checking your solution. Many of you, I would argue, you checked your answer, you didn't solve it. Remember, checking is when you take that number and you plug it back in to see if it makes the equation true. Your solving is where you're adding or subtracting something from both sides to get the variable by itself. So, I'm just going to read answers, but you need to know what type of work we're looking for. Number 3, the answer should be 6. Number 5, the answer is 9. Number 7, the answer is negative 9. Okay? Number 9, it asks you to describe and correct the error. So here's what they have. They have x plus 8 equals 10. Their next line says x plus 8 minus 8 equals 10 plus 8, which means that x is equal to 18. This is their work. Where's the error and how to fix it? Well, what's the operation right now happening to your variable of x? Addition. So how do you undo addition? Subtraction. So if you look at what they did, is that correct? Yes, it's fine here. But what's the problem? They added it over here. Remember, whatever operation you do to one side, you need to make sure you do to the other. So what should actually be fixed here is this plus should become a minus. Then that changes this. These still are going to cancel out and give me x. But this side should become 2, not 18. Okay? Number 11 through 25. That literally was it. Like you had no other story problems. 11 through 25, have the appropriate work. Check your answer. Number 11 should be 5. Number 13 is negative 8. Number 15 is 11. Number 17 is negative 17. Number 19 is negative 29. Number 21 is 17. Number 23 is 23. And number 25 is a negative 226. Francisco, where's your homework? You need to be checking it. All right. So, Serena, let's take a look. Questions. Number 7. Number 7 says that we have 16 equals a plus 25. All right, we're going to pick a spot in the room and we're just going to keep circling around. I don't care if you ask the question or not. When it comes to you, you need to be ready to answer it. Evan, what is happening to our variable of a right now? Are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing with that? We're adding. Delaney, how do we undo addition? Subtraction. Bryce, what do we need to do?
We need to take, don't we need to take 25 and minus it by 6?
No. Okay? Got to make sure you're paying attention here. Megan, what do we do? Okay, but order of subtraction matters. I do agree that I want to subtract 25 from here, subtract 25 from here. But if this side doesn't say 25 minus 16, does it? It says 16 minus 25. There's a difference. What is 16 minus 25? Negative 9. Over here, what happens when I have a plus 25 and a minus 25? Those become 0, so the only thing that I'm left with is a. So a should equal negative 9. Quentin, number 23. Number 23 says I have a negative 13. We're going to add t, and this is equal to positive 10. Now this is why, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I don't like the whole plus and negative and everything else. Okay? What is on the same side as the t that you'd like to get rid of? A negative what? And so if it's a negative 13, I don't want to subtract 13 because that's not going to give me 0, is it? If I have negative 13, what do I need to do to get 0? I need to add 13. So I need to add 13 here, and I need to add 13 here. Now some people are going, but hold on, you said that if it's an addition problem, you do the opposite. But here's what I'm going to tell you. I also said pay attention to the sign that's in front of a number. The sign in front of that number is a negative. So to undo it, you need to add. Negative 13 plus 13 is 0. So now I'd have just that t over there. 10 plus 13 is 23. It goes back to what we discussed in unit number 3. You're paying attention to the sign that is in front, not behind. That's why in this case we added 13 and didn't subtract it. All right, let's keep going. Maya, number 13 says we have negative 2 is equal to z plus 6. So when I look at the side that has the z, we are adding 6 to each side. Adding 6 to that. Emma, how do we undo addition? So, Rollin, what do we need to show on both sides?
Oh, you're subtracting 6.
That we're subtracting 6. Now, also a little thing, as I walked around and saw people doing their homework. If I'm going to subtract 6, I like to put it right below the 6 that I'm subtracting from. And this will make more sense as we go on, because again, these are the easy problems, ladies and gentlemen. So over here, what's negative 2 minus 6? Negative 8. Over here, if I have positive 6 and I subtract 6, that becomes 0. So the only thing that I have left over there is my z. So z should be equal to a negative 8. All right, what else do we have here? Number 21 says we have r minus 23, and this is equal to a negative 6. All right, Quan, what's happening to my variable right now? What's that? I'm not adding to it. What's it say I'm doing to it? Subtracting. Abby, how do we undo subtraction? Addition. Chloe, what do we need to add to both sides? Well, but I want to get r by itself. So I don't want to add 6 to both. I mean, I could, but it's going to be pretty wonky. I want to add 23. And I want to add 23 here, which means that now I need to add 23 here. So again, over here, my minus 23, my plus 23 cancel each other out because it gives me 0. So the only thing that I have left here is an r. On this side, we're going to take negative 6 and we're going to add 23. And we're always using our calculators for these. R should be equal to 17. Now, it did say to check your work. So when you're done, this is what you're doing. This confirms that 17 was the answer. But for some of us, this is what you thought you did to solve it. No. All you did is you found the solution. You didn't solve it. And I say that because solving requires a process that we use. You have to show that process. Okay? Any others that we have here? Last chance if you've got any, because today we're moving on to multiplication and division, and addition and subtraction should be something you are prepared to be assessed on Friday.